Hello and welcome back to House of Astralis. My name is Kayla, and today I will be your cosmic guide as we look ahead into what this Aquarius season has to offer you. This will be pick a card style, and here in the beginning, I'll go ahead and briefly talk about Aquarius and what the season means. And I do have a collective oracle for us as well, and then two individual piles that I will get into. And before we do that, I just want to thank you in advance for any interaction that you have with my channel, liking, commenting, subscribing. It really does help, so thank you so much in advance. And as this is a collective reading, please be at peace with anything that does not resonate and leave the rest behind. So, very briefly, Aquarius season does mark a turning point. Aquarius is the yang diurnal expression of Saturn, meaning it's the yang and the daytime sect of Saturn. And while it shares Capricorn's concern with structure and responsibility, its focus is entirely different. Where Capricorn builds the mountain, Aquarius asks why the mountain exists and who it serves. Aquarius is fixed air, so it's visionary, cerebral focused, future oriented. Aquarius isn't here to maintain tradition for tradition's sake. It's here to challenge outdated systems, question inherited narratives, and imagine what's possible when we think beyond the limits of the past. During the season, there's a strong pull toward progress, innovation, and collective evolution. Aquarius holds a blueprint for the future. It's interested in ideals, ethics, language, and the way ideas shape reality. And there's a desire to rise above emotional reactivity and look at the bigger picture, to see how individual choices ripple outward in new communities, systems, and generations. Aquarius energy is intensified right now as multiple personal planets move into Aquarius and meet Pluto. We're not just talking about surface level change here. We're talking about deep mental and ideological transformation. Old stories about who you are, what's possible, and how the world has to be are under review. This is that age of Aquarius as well, and you'll see this most prominently wherever Aquarius is in your natal chart. So, for example, it's in my seventh house. So, Aquarius season right now for me will be highlighting my relationships with others, my one on ones, and my client relationships, my business relationships. So for you, just look at where Aquarius is, and then that house will definitely let you know what themes are going on. So if it's your first house, your ascendant, it's definitely about you, who you are, maybe who you are within the collective, and how you can make a change. And maybe you're going through some, I don't want to say identity crisis issues, but something about your identity is really being heightened at this time. And for example, my partner has a fourth house Aquarius stellium, so he has 3 or 4 planets in the fourth house. So maybe something going on with our home will be heightened for him, and that'll be just lovely. Conversations this season matter more than usual. Words carry weight. What you say and how you say it has the power to disrupt, liberate, or inspire. This is a season where truth wants to be spoken plainly, but also responsibly. Aquarius seeks objectivity, but the lesson is not detachment, it's clarity without cruelty. So kind of think of the swords. If you're familiar with the Queen of Swords in the tarot, the King and Queen of Swords, they can come off as very blunt and very honest and just straight to the point. And that's where tone comes in. You can be blunt and straightforward without being cruel. There's also tension here because Aquarius wants freedom, experimentation, in the future, but Pluto reminds us that change isn't neutral, it requires courage. So some structures will resist dismantling, and some beliefs will fight to survive. This season may bring moments of upheaval, especially where power, control, or ideology are involved. And we can see that a lot collectively, anyways. But again, look at where Aquarius is in your natal chart, and maybe there will be some ideas there as well. At its best, this energy supports breakthroughs in thinking, technology, activism, and collective organization. At its worst, it can manifest as rigidity, intellectual superiority, or conflict between competing worldviews. The invitation here is to stay self aware, to question not only systems out there, but the ones we carry within us. Spiritually, Aquarius opens a channel to guidance beyond the personal. This is the sign associated with the star, which I do have here. And it's one of the only stars in the decks that I have that aren't nude or that are safe for YouTube. So here it is. The star represents hope, renewal, and trust in a future we can't fully see yet. It asks us to act as conduits, receiving insight, then grounding it into something usable, ethical, and real. If Capricorn season was about laying foundations, Aquarius season is about wiring those foundations for the future, charging them with vision and asking not just what we are building, but why and for whom. This is a season to think differently, speak honestly, and align your personal truth with the greater good. Not perfection, not certainty, but conscious participation in what's being born next. Also, we do have some solar eclipses coming up in Aquarius on February, is it 17th? I think so, yeah, and that's in Aquarius. So, whatever house Aquarius is in for you will certainly be heightened by that eclipse time. And also, the adjacent, which is Leo. So, those two houses that are opposing each other are going to be important. For me, it's my seventh and first house. So, maybe who am I in these relationships? Or are these relationships actually serving my highest and best good? There's so many things that can be there, especially with the solar eclipse, but we'll get there when we get there because that's for a different video. But to briefly get into it before the piles, the two piles here, I do have an oracle for you to look at and see which pile you want. But this was the bottom of the deck of the oracle, and I thought it was really important to share just collectively. It's 23 Sacred Prayer. All you must do is ask, call upon the Ascended Masters for guidance. And I think this is really beautiful and really aligns with the times that we're in right now. And for this collective and for doing things of the collective's highest and best good, or just doing things for humanity, I think it's important that we can call upon the universe, these ascended masters, for guidance to help us because we are not alone. We just have to open up that doorway, the spiritual realm, and ask for them to help us in this because I've struggled with that myself of knowing that I'm here to make change. I just don't know how or where. And there's so many possibilities. So it's just calling upon guidance so that we can fulfill that personal legend and fulfill goodness for humanity's sake. Alrighty, so we have our two piles here. First up with the oracle, we have number 6, self-awareness. Let go of your egoic attachments. Your evolution comes with release. And the T phrase that I picked out is be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody. I really love the imagery on this card too. And with pile 1, we will be using the Wiser Tarot. And pile 2, we've got number 21, Universal Oneness. We are all in this together. Consciousness is flowing without separation. We act as one. And the T saying we have is you make the world a better place. With pile 2, we will be using the Tarot of the Nile. And with this pick a card, it will be similar to other ones that you may have seen, so definitely pick which one you are drawn to. But I kind of have a different way of going about this one just because I want to match it to these collective energies that we're feeling. And there's so many of us out here and we can all make a difference, and we don't have to do it all in the same way. We don't all have to go organize and be on the front lines and protest. We don't all have to be on the phone banks. I think a lot of this work will come from the inner self and the inner work that we do to make our lives better so that it reflects out into the macrocosm. So I do trust that each pile will be for everybody, and it's just different ways of being able to be part of the collective and put in work and what vision is available for people who want to do X and people who want to do Y. Because again, we don't all have to be doing the same things. Whatever is in your capacity is going to be in your capacity, and you can't force yourself to do something else. So I'll go ahead and let you pause here for a moment before moving on. Here is another close-up of the cards. And I'll see you in your pile. Hello, pile 1. This is the pile you chose, and this is your reading on how you can help this collective and how you can be part of the collective intervention and upheaval and being a part of this collective wave of change. First up, I did pull some oracles, and we got sundering and intervention, which I love. It's so perfect. Sundering is the act of splitting something apart, and this is exactly what we're doing here during this era of Aquarius. First up, what is the possibility, the idea, or calling that is coming through for this collective at this time? What is the vision? We've got the Five of Pentacles, and I'm being drawn to that first oracle card that we pulled in the beginning was Sacred Prayer. All you must do is ask. Call upon the Ascended Masters for guidance. So I'm seeing this as the collective working together now to get out of the cold and in the poverty of this society and what the authority has put onto us. So it's knowing that we can go into this safe haven and we can ask for help. We just have to ask, and we just have to be open to that. So the vision is that we get out of this state. This state doesn't have to be our reality anymore. We can ask for help. We can have help from others and embrace the help that is here and embrace that there is another way. Also, fives are the middle point, the card of change. Even in numerology, it's change. So this is the halfway point between the beginning and the ending. And it's not giving up. You know, we see these people, they're battered, cold, hungry, and I think there's a message of hope here in general. The Star card, literally, just not to give up, even though it seems bitter now. It can get better if we allow it to, if we put in the help to do so. This is that higher perspective that Aquarius is inviting you to see here, that it doesn't have to be this way. You know, I was reading a book earlier, and one of the quotes stood out to me that I'm being called to read out loud right now. As a culture, we are obsessed with the notion of safety, yet we do not question why we live in states of extreme anxiety and dread. Fear is the primary force upholding structures of domination. It promotes the desire of separation. This quote is from All About Love by Bell Hooks. And I think that's really important here. Next, what outdated system, structure, belief, or narrative is ready to be dismantled? Oh, this is that violence one. Oh my gosh, she had a whole section on violence and how we as a society seem to be so comfortable with violence because that's what we're shown graphic images on social media every day, and it's just the norm. Instagram has a reputation for just showing you the most crazy things, and I think this is certainly where this needs to be dismantled. That's funny, the light went out right as I said that. Or was saying that. And so it's all about the book, All About Love, and she talks about if our media, if we were shown loving and peaceful images, maybe that can be the norm instead of these violent things that we don't have to be exposed to all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, it's important to see the things that are going out in the world, especially in areas where we are being fed lies and we have video and picture evidence of things going on. I think that's important. But just be scrolling on something like Instagram and seeing horrific things, it's crazy. It's a weird time that we live in. And I think this is what it's saying needs to be dismantled. The violence, the quick, swift action. She goes on to talk about war too, and just the violence in general, and I think that's really prominent here. Next, we have how you can best express, communicate, or embody this energy. Like, how can you be the channel, the bridge, the messenger, the innovator? How can you do this? Oh, we've got the tower. Okay, I'm getting a couple things here. So with the tower, it's the foundations that crumble because it obviously wasn't working in the first place. And with paired with the self-awareness card, I think this is that inner work that you have to do, that we all, our individual work that we have to do for ourselves to dismantle the ego and dismantle fear within ourselves so that we can not be fearful when we kick out these establishes that need to be kicked out, that are no longer working. The crown here too is like that sovereignty and us taking our power back as the people of this earth and not letting these structures dominate us. And that goes directly back into that quote that I just read about, that fear is the primary force upholding structures of domination. So if we get over our fear of standing up, our fear of believing that this is it, the fear of the Five of Pentacles, then we can go ahead and dismantle that, because the fear has no place to be if we gotten over that. And that comes with a lot of inner work. That comes with the work to recognize it and transmute it for the best good and healing. This is why a lot of us have been getting into these healing roles, to open our eyes and just learn outside the structures that have told you how it should be. There's that intervention coming in too, that sundering, the splitting apart and splitting things open. Lastly, we have the collective impact of this collective pile one. How does aligning with this shift, how does aligning with your personal self, your self-awareness, and dismantling these structures, how does it serve the greater whole? We have the Five of Wands. One thing I'm getting here is it's not as violent as the Knight of Swords or even the Five of Swords, and five is another change. But what I'm getting is that we can still disagree, we can even maybe not align with each other without this violence, this overbearing violence that we see all the time. And maybe it's like we can playfully tussle it out, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to be so violent, and we can even come together and creatively disagree without the need for chaos. Just seeing like the unity here, like them coming together. Okay, the way I was just shown it was like this. So we're coming together to fight for our rights or our sovereignty, and we're coming together to form alliances to kick out these foundations that don't need to be here anymore, to dismantle them. Because without the unity together, it's hard. And that's why the fear allows that separation. Because if we came together, that's no good for the structures that uphold it. So I think this all leads back to that self-awareness, when we really can let go of that ego and the fear that's keeping us small and keeping us bound to other people's belief systems because it benefits them over our sovereignty and over the collective good. Then we can unite and come together and dismantle structures that have played out for far too long and have overstayed their welcome. And of course, the systems are the way that they are for the benefit of them and not us. And I guess there is still that separation of them versus us, of the lower class versus higher class, and left and right. Like, there's so many separations here, and people have still not realized that there's a bigger separation, and it's more than just the left and the right. It's more than just some colors, it's more than that. And there's a big dismantling, a sundering that needs to happen here. Big intervention. We've all been feeling it for a while, and so many things are leading up to it, and it's not coming out of the blue. This has been known, I would say. This is truly expected, and I don't know about y'all, but I am part of this upheaval and this change for the better good. And all work that we do helps. So all the inner work that I do for myself is extending out into the world, and that will benefit. All the work that you do will benefit. We don't all have to be doing the same thing. I think we all have to do inner work, but just like I was saying before, we don't all have to be leading protests and forming political groups and like all of this stuff. So just trust that the work that you do for yourself now will benefit, and that'll even lead you to a bigger picture. So, with that, pile one, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great Aquarius season, and I hope you can use it to the best of your ability and figure out how you can be part of this change. I'll either see you in the next pile or I'll see you in the next reading. Real quick, pile one, as I was putting the cards away, I did see the bottom of the deck and we have the Two of Swords. And this is just telling me we shall not be blind anymore and just let things pass because we can pretend that we don't see it. This is not the story anymore. This is part of that narrative that needs to be dismantled. We have to not sit by and idle any longer. Hello, pile two. Welcome to your reading. Here we've got number 21, universal oneness. We are all in this together. Consciousness is flowing without separation. We act as one. And here's the little star. Here is Aquarius showing up. I think it was even in pile one. I think there were stars on the hand. I didn't even notice. I intended to only pull 2 oracle cards for additional information, but of course more came out, and I'll get into those in a minute. But so far, I don't think I mentioned it at first, but with the first battle we had kind of how we can be part of this collective change on a personal level, and now it looks like this is the collective level all together. First up, we have what possibility, idea, or calling is coming through to this collective right now? What is the vision that you are being called to cultivate? And we have got 7 of Pentacles. I'm being drawn to how he's just staring at this tree and how much it's growing and all the hard work that went into it. Kind of like you reap what you sow. So this is telling me like growing better things, being able to re-nourish the soil after the aftermath and work together to build up this collective change for our best good. Building something new, growing something new out of the seeds and out of the information that we now have. And I guess this is that Aquarius high perspective that is showing up. It's telling us that there is a way. We can rebuild. We can grow better things. We can grow more abundant things. What belief structure or narrative is ready to be dismantled? What outdated system? We've got the 5 of Swords. And in the last pile, we had the Knight of Swords. And I'm seeing a very similar message here about the violent, about pitting us against each other. That there's certain people who are better than the others. So this is telling me that the belief that violence is the answer, or that we have to put up our swords and we have to be cruel, this is what needs to be dismantled to work together. Ultimately, we can't work with other people who we believed aren't as good as us or who are lower than us. It pits us against each other, and that's something that is not beneficial. Next, we've got how you can best express, communicate, or embody this new energy. What is your role? What is the channel you're being invited to embrace for this collective here at this time? We've got the King of Cups, and I see this as being emotionally intelligent and being able to handle emotions and not let them get the best of you, and being able to be civil. I'm seeing like extending a cup and having a drink with people who are on your side after realizing that, oh, we have been pitted against each other for far too long. It's not okay. But there is emotional intelligence, like I said, and there's a way of being able to embody these emotions without letting it overcome you. So part of the collective work is to understand those emotions. And some of us are in the healing field, so that really helps. But if you're not, it's still being able to be empathetic and compassionate towards your fellow humans, because we are all in this together. And how does aligning with this shift, with this transformation, serve the greater whole? What is this collective impact? Well, we've got the Ace of Cups. And if this doesn't say it, then I don't know what does. This is that emotional tending of the waters. That's being able to let it flow, let the water, let love flow into the deserted and barren lands that we know today. So things are changing. It's once they change, we can now let water flow through them and hydrate and nourish the land and each other. And I'm just getting all this imagery right here with the king. He's holding the cup, and then this universal oneness card is holding like that. And although it's not a cup, it's the consciousness is flowing without separation. So this is the water. And I like that we have the last cup here and then the first cup. So you embody this change by being able to handle your emotions and the love. This is love. And ultimately the impact that this has on the society is love. Is being able to be all nourished and start anew. This is a new thing. Aces are beginnings. This is a new fresh start. Watering the desert, watering what was stripped and taken from us in order to nourish it back and nourish the land, nourish ourselves. And that draws me to the freedom here and the aftermath, and that there's treasure in the aftermath. The Ace of Cups is the treasure. And we have to free ourselves from these structures that want to keep us down and pit it against each other, because obviously it benefits them. If we were all united, and if we all did act as one, then we wouldn't have that structure in the first place. But I like this aftermath card because it shows her kind of just like, ugh. I can totally see this, right? Just like being able to take a deep breath. And, there may be literal tower moments and things that are hard, but afterwards we can take a deep breath knowing that we did what we could and we didn't sit by and just let things continue. I think there's been too long of the sitting by and not having our freedom. But now we can find our treasure afterwards. We can find the Ace of Cups, and it is ours. It's our birthright. We just have to truly believe that and truly allow structures to fall so that we can get there. And I'm going to read this quote just in case you didn't come from pile one and that you didn't hear it, but I think this is so important to hear. It's from a book that I was reading earlier today, and I'm so glad I copied this quote down. This is from the book All About Love by Bell Hooks. It's not in the interest of the conservative status quo to encourage us to confront our collective fear of love. An overall cultural embrace of a love ethic would mean that we would all oppose much of the public policy conservatives condone and support. Society's collective fear of love must be faced if we all were to lay claim to a love ethic that can inspire us to give us the courage to make necessary changes. I didn't read that part in pile one, but this next part I did. As a culture, we are obsessed with the notion of safety, yet we do not question why we live in states of extreme anxiety and dread. Fear is the primary force upholding structures of domination. It promotes the desire of separation. And she also talked about the violence and what we're shown on a day-to-day basis, and this is reminding me exactly of this Five of Swords here, and just we are separated, but if we can work towards that collective embrace with each other, and we all have our differences, and that's what makes us just able to work together, because we all have perspectives we can bring in. Yeah, there's just so much into it. I know I can't really say much on YouTube, but it's not us versus them. It's these structures versus the people. So with that, you make the world a better place. So just remember that, and tying back into pile one, do that inner work, do the self-work, work on yourself. And if we all did that, we can really understand the universal truth that we are all connected, and it doesn't have to be this way. Truly doesn't. So with that, thank you so much for being here, pile two. I appreciate you being here so I can read for you, and I appreciate you being in this collective and helping me make the world a better place. So thank you. I can't wait to read for you again next time. So I'll either see you in pile one if you didn't already see, or I'll see you in my next reading.